good afternoon. Can you hear me good in the room? Awesome, amazing. I hope everyone had their fill of coffee. It's a post-lunch session. We'll keep it interactive maybe. Um, First of all, thanks MMA for having me here to speak about data and AI and its importance. I represent the Trade Desk. We're a platform which is born with the AI inbuilt in the platform, so AI is nothing new for us. But before I get into the synergies of open internet and data-driven marketing, I think I had two goals, today. One is speak about data and AI, but my larger goal here is to kind of make sure I speak something which kind of helps you be happy and, live a good life, right? Now, keep me honest because it could be a difficult challenge to solve for, right? Like, how do data and AI make you happy? Well, it's kind of, let's see towards the end of the session if I did the, job or not, right? Uh, I think every now and then there is a buzzword which comes into the industry, right? There was IoT, there's cloud computing, now it's AI. I don't know what's going to be next 3 years down the line, right? Uh, but I think AI has really kind of found the buzz. My personal view is because of it is having a lot of consumer interface driven applications, right? In the last MMA event, Lloyd and Monica had a booth which could give you a superhero avatar if you click your picture, right? So I think that's the thing which is driving the AI engagement and interaction from a consumer point of view. Uh, so let's kind of dig down and loved the session which happened before this. Loved the inputs from marketers, very engaging. I was having a little bit of jitters when Ashish here mentioned that not paying your mobile bill on time could also impact your CIBIL score. Uh, you know, I thought just paying your loan on time does the job. Thankfully, I don't have any loans anymore, so But I mean, that's a great thing. But listening to marketers, I think if you see on the screen, there are a lot of things that they care about, right? And the job that they do day in and day out is super damn complex, right? They have to figure out who their audiences are, where they are, just like our salaries, they also have marketing budgets that they have to work with, right? Marketing budgets are not unlimited. So where do they deploy the budgets? How do they get the most bang of bucks from the budget deployed? Of course, privacy is a super important thing which consumers care about, and marketers have to take care of that as well, right? But does it stop here? No, right? The job of a marketer is becoming complex and complex day in, day out, right? Uh, ROI, I think Shivani spoke about it. It's which channels are working the most, which channels are the most effective for your marketing dollars. How do you measure success? Are we taking care of brand safety, right? Because most of the big brands care about where the ads appear, right? To kind of sum it all, I think what they do in with the budgets they have and where to deploy and how to consume the budgets in the most efficient fashion is super difficult, right? And let's kind of see how does a platform and a tech, help you solve that challenge. So I will kind of structure my conversation into three core pillars, right? Number one is embrace the power of open internet. Number two, let data drive your decisions, right? And the third is how do we leverage AI in optimizing your media campaigns? Now, in the most crudest way, while AI is the latest buzz, I would say AI is anything which is not the intelligence sitting between your ears, right? I would say even a calculator, which had certain prompts, gives you certain results, is artificial intelligence, right? You're not kind of doing the maths in your head, right? Is AI completely new? No. I have a few friends who are pilots and who say that AI is being used in landing planes in foggy conditions all through and through, right? There's an autopilot which is consuming a lot of data, figuring out, what is the approach angle you should take, what is the speed you take. And at the press of a button, the plane can land by itself, right? How is that happening? That's AI, right? But from a lens of a marketer, AI is becoming important, right? It should be treated as a co-pilot in your job. Let's double click on the first, which is embracing the power of open internet because it is rewriting the rules of consumer engagement. Now, if you look at all our consumer journeys, right, in terms of before we kind of buy anything from a brand, there's a lot of messaging, engagement which happens from a consumer lens, right? right from the time we wake up in the morning to, maybe listening to music on a Spotify, reading an article on the news, you know, in the daytime, consuming a little bit of social media and short form content. Our partners from ShareChat were here. And in the evening, maybe consuming content on OTTs. The essence of this slide is, the options for consumers are immense these days, right? They're spending time across different properties and learning and engaging with content from different sites, different publishers. In India, the data point is almost 8 hours every day is being spent on the internet, right? Which is huge. And that brings in the challenge for marketers in terms of where do I kind of catch hold of these consumers? And what they want to do is basically, they want to unify their marketing efforts, right? So while there is linear, social, and YouTube, there are a lot of other channels which are becoming and, getting traction, which is CTV, audio, display native, DOH, where consumers consume and engage with content. Again, with limited dollars, this job is super, super difficult, right? And if you talk about the open internet where consumers are spending time, this looks a really complex slide, right? How does tech enable you to solve for this, right? And if you are impacting media dollars in any way, right? If you're a brand which is deploying media in the market, or you're an agency partner who's helping brands deploy media effectively, this looks a super complex job. But tech can help you consolidate all your media buys in a single fashion, right? And it's the easy thing to do, right? If you focus on the center of the slide, that's the approach we take. You take an audience-first approach. So first, as a marketer, you decide which is the audience set which is the most important for you, right? It could be fintech, enthusiasts. It could be fitness enthusiasts. It could be people who are Gen Zs or mothers. Like different brands have different consumer personas that they care about, right? Gone are the days when publishers need to come to you and tell you that, hey, all your consumers are on my site or my platform, because inherently, all of us, from our own experience, we spend time on different properties to consume content, right? And the marketer's job is super difficult, right? If like 30 different partners who come to you and say, most of your consumers that you care about are on my site, it is super difficult to figure out where do I deploy my dollars, right? But with a tech-enabled platform, you can just figure out what is the audience which matters to you the most, and then let the platform do its job to finding those audiences across different ecosystems, right? Now, if you talk about the open internet, how consumers spending time, majority of the consumers, the 8 hours that I spoke about earlier, is being spent on open internet. So while YouTube is important, social media scrolling is great, we see, and this is data which has been done by third-party research partners, which says majority of the time being spent by consumers is on the open internet. What does open internet constitute? It is anything which is outside the YouTube and the Meta ecosystem. So all your Disney Hotstars, your Spotify, your Times of India articles, anything and everything outside city of those walled gardens are part of the open internet ecosystem. And what we've seen is consumers are much more likely to, and some data points here, right? Engage with ads which are being placed on broadcasted premium content. Do they trust ads more on open internet? Yes. So data shows that young Indians are more likely to consume their preferred content in OTT and CTV as compared to UGC platforms, which is user-generated content, right? Because it's broadcast quality, it's premium, it's in-stream. And they say 55% of young Indians are more likely to view brands that advertise in the open internet as premium compared to those on YouTube. Now, there's a term which is gathering, traction, which is called as scroll blinding, getting blinded by the scroll feed, right? Because, people are just kind of scrolling without thinking much about it, without engaging with the content, right? And there's another term which is called as dopamine depletion, right? Which is really bad for your health. If you're constantly engaging with short form content, right, which is, maybe funny videos, jokes, cats and dogs, I think as a human, you don't want to be depleting your dopamine. You want to be investing your, dopamine and your, protecting your dopamine, because it's basically dopamine is basically, a very good constituent for your good health to be maintained, right? So scrolling is a bad idea. I mean, of course, we've seen the bad effects from kids' perspective. And if you see from a trust factor also, people, trust the ads on open internet, which is your OTTs, much higher than your social media and YouTube ads, right? If you see, ad trust on OTT and CTVs are 43% compared to 39% on YouTube, and 42% on a music app like a Spotify compared to only 37% on social media, right? Now, therein lies the biggest opportunity. The paradox here is, despite the time being spent on the open internet, the ad dollars are still not going to the open internet, right? There are few advertisers who are the sophisticated ones who have kind of taken the leap, are taking the first mover advantage, which have started investing and diverting the dollars to the open internet, right? And there is still a huge missing opportunity, which is close to 37%, because ad dollars typically and always flow where the attention is. And attention is on the open internet now, right? All of us, invest in stocks. Everybody buys the dip. So this is kind of a dip where, if you take the advantage, if you take the leap first, you will be able to kind of, take the advantage and engage your consumers much better than maybe your competition brands are currently, right? Now let's talk about data-driven decisions, which is my second structural pillar here. Now, from a data point of view, there's a lot of kind of data which is being talked about, right? Zero-party data, first-party data, second-party data, and it's, again, a lot of complexity around it. But I think if you just keep it simple, modern marketing starts with data about your customers, right? Your converted customers are the most important data piece that you have, right? Because they're people who have shown intent, who have converted, who have given their money after trusting your brand, right? So every converted customer is your most important data. But again, there's a different class to data, right? I'll skip the slide, because basically, if you have the data, you basically can reach and engage the customers better. But the point that I was trying to get at here is, oops, just a sec. Yes, we got it. Yes. So from a data point of view, I think first-party data are the most important data because they're converted customers, right? So if you look at the bottom, if you just invert the funnel, first-party data, which is your seed, remains the most important data from a customer conversion perspective. There are, of course, different ways where you can capture it. There are your web and app purchases. The proxy to that could be website visitors. Then there are data which can be imported from your CRM data that you already have. Can be imported on a platform, can be used to leverage and create lookalikes. Then there are brand-specific retail purchases, right? So let's say you're a confectionery brand or a makeup brand. Can you look at other data providers who are helping you find those category data inputs, right? So that's one. But if you don't have any first-party data, let's say you're a new startup or you're starting off right now, or a CPG brand where collecting email addresses and phone numbers are difficult, you can leverage the third-party data providers who have very sharp deterministic signals to make sure you get the data and build on your first-party data journey, right? Skipping this, but now once you let data drive your decisions, there's a lot of relevance that the platform can enable for you, right? They can tell you which publishers are the most relevant for you, which channels are working the most for you, and then what audience expansion strategies you can leverage. All of this being driven by your seed data at the core of it. Now, the third part is leveraging AI-driven optimizations. I'm going to talk about just 3, where AI is helping marketers take their decisions in a much better fashion and help your media strategies being much more effective, right? Audience predictor, as the name suggests, from your converted data, which is your seed data, the platform can surface insights which can tell you which are the most well-performing segments and also exclude the low-performing ones, right? Now, once you use the first-party data to deploy media, the platform shows the insights, which is the job of an AI, and helps you figure out which to use, which to kind of use more, which to use less. The second is, how do you buy impressions? Now, programmatic buying has changed from second price auctions to first price auctions, which is basically, if earlier somebody was, bidding $5 for an impression, the next competitor would probably pay 5.1, $5 plus 1 cent, right? Now it is first price auction. So if you even kind of, somebody, from an impression point of view, uh, is bidding at $10, you'll end up paying $10, right? But with data and the platform, which studies a lot of backstream, bid stream data, the platform can show you an insight that this audience is not available at $10, but at $3.5, right? So let data drive your bidding, buying decisions as well. And the third is identity alliance, right? There are proprietary technologies because we have multiple devices, which we can basically tell you that the user behind these multiple devices is a single one, right? Which helps you use the household reach and the individual reach in a much efficient fashion. This is a fun question for you to ask. What comes to mind when you think of AI as the first thing, right? Which is the tool or software which you've used, which is the first thing that comes to your mind? Anything? You got it. I think how I use ChatGPT right now is, telling stories to my kids, give a prompt, get the answers. So this is a fun quiz that we asked in terms of which is the best demand-side platform which is using AI, inbuilt, and this is the response to the from ChatGPT. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but AI is foundational to us from a platform perspective right from the get-go. And I would probably just say, one last thing, which is, use AI as a co-pilot. The example that I gave, nobody's going to replace humans and their insights and their intellect. But, if you don't use AI to be more effective in your job, to save time, basically keep your company happy and deliver on the results, I think you will lose out. There's an interesting, snippet that I was studying, which is, AI is not going to take your job, but people who use AI effectively might as well, right? So with that, I would, say thank you to all of you, and I hope this session was helpful.